Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We haven't even made it to Thanksgiving yet, but Michigan sets a devastating new record of new coronavirus cases, close to 10,000 in a single day. Sean.
Tonight, the Local 4 defenders, we've obtained secret audio recordings the feds say are key to their case against the men accused of wanting to kidnap Governor Whitmer. We'll play some of the recordings for you. Tonight, they're raising new questions about this case.
The focus on Michigan's election results turns now to Washington, where some of the state's top GOP lawmakers are meeting with President Trump.
The battle over Wayne County's election results seems to evolve by the minute.
Let's get you caught up here. As of this 5 o'clock hour, State House Speaker Lee Chatfield and Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey touched down today in Washington with some others. In a tweet, Chatfield said he makes no apologies for taking the meeting at the White House and is honored to get the invitation.
That meeting comes as the two GOP canvassers who started this whole thing are speaking out for the first time, and we'll have that part of the story in just a moment. But we want to start in Washington and Susan McGinnis following today's White House meeting. Susan.
Well, Devin and Kimberly, President-elect Biden is spending some of his birthday meeting with top Democratic leaders as President Trump continues his unprecedented effort to use the power of his presidency to turn around the presidential election, which today included hosting two lawmakers from Michigan. President Trump today defiant, refusing to concede the election and pushing ahead with unprecedented long-shot efforts to overturn it. At an event on prescription drug prices, he accused manufacturers of delaying vaccine announcements to hurt him.
Big Pharma ran millions of dollars of negative advertisements against me during the campaign, which I won, by the way, but, we'll find that out. Almost 74 million votes.
Protesters were on hand as two Republican lawmakers arrived in Washington for a meeting with the president. With the White House denying reports, he's trying to stop that state from certifying a win for Joe Biden.
He routinely meets with lawmakers from all across the country.
In fact, it appears to be anything but routine, a strategy pinning hopes on Republican state legislatures bypassing the will of voters and appointing pro-Trump electors who could hand him a second term. Georgia today becoming the latest state to confirm a Joe Biden victory. The recount results announced by a pro-Trump Republican.
I believe that the numbers that we have presented today are correct.
In Wisconsin, the recount battle is just beginning in two mostly Democratic counties, but unlikely to sway the results. President-elect Biden's team expressing outrage at the president's extraordinary efforts to reverse an election.
It's an abuse of office. It's an open attempt to intimidate election officials. It's absolutely appalling.
Biden celebrating his 78th birthday, meeting with top congressional Democrats for the first time since the election. They're hammering out a legislative foundation for the next 4 years and a House and Senate likely to be even more bitterly divided. As the president continues his legal battles, more lawmakers from both sides are calling on him to concede and share information with the Biden team. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, Local 4.
Okay, Susan, now to the two GOP canvassing board members who set this whole chain of events off.
Both speaking out today, really for the first time since, at least speaking at length for the first time since their vote, saying the presidential election played zero role in their decision despite getting a phone call from President Trump. Rod Maloney joins us live with what they had to say today. Rod?
I'm not hearing anything.
I could not in good conscience certify numbers that I know there's no answers to. That is the point of the canvass.
I would hope that that something changes.
The Republican canvass board members emphatically say their only reason for looking to rescind their certification is simple. They believe Detroit's November 3rd election went little better than the openly regarded as a disaster August primary.
70% of the Detroit absentee counting boards were out of balance, unexplained. We have a repeat of the primary.
We really thought that it was going to be a lot better, but we're really surprised when nothing really changed.
Wayne County Board of Canvassers Vice Chair Jonathan Kinlock told Local 4 News he believes their explanation, particularly Palmer's, falls flat.
They came to that meeting wanting to vote no. The only reason that they changed was because after we voted to not certify the election, we went to public comment and the public let her have it.
Both Hartman and Palmer say they took a phone call from President Trump in her car right after that contentious meeting.
It was basically a thank you call. That's what it was all about.
Did the president ask you to file the affidavit?
No, he did not.
Everything what drove that change, in my opinion, is the call from Donald Trump.
Now, both Palmer and Hartman say that they feel threatened. In fact, Hartman's gone into hiding. Palmer said that she fears for her daughter's safety. And they both also said that they say that race had nothing to do with this. They just wanted to get at good election results. But Kinloch says that shows a lack of understanding of the history of black voting in this country. Back to you.
Well, it's interesting that they point to seeing the same problems we saw in the primary, and yet they both voted to certify the primary election, Rod. But how do Palmer and Hartman feel about whether their rescissions should have any effect?
Well, Palmer wouldn't even answer the question. I asked her that, and she said she didn't know. But I talked to Hartman, and he said that, in fact, he thinks that it should rescind his vote, but he said he has since been told that it doesn't. And so he says at this point he probably figures that the Board of Canvassers are likely to move forward.
That they're done. All right, Rod.
Well, as we told you off the top here, Michigan has recorded a single-day record of new coronavirus cases, 9,779 new cases in the last 24 hours. Along with that, we've lost 53 more Michiganders to the virus in the past day.
A major development today in the fight against the virus. Pfizer and BioNTech have submitted their vaccine to the FDA for emergency use authorization. The companies say the vaccine has proven thus far 95% effective. They say they will be able to distribute the vaccine within hours of getting the authorization. Coming up at 5:15, the head of the committee that will analyze the vaccine, a U of M professor, will tell us what's going to happen next. Well, you do not see weather like this in the middle of November very often.
We don't, but we'll take it. Sun and 60s and no wind, unlike yesterday. So let's get over to Ben and see what we've got coming later tonight and for the weekend. Hi, Ben.
Kim and Devin, you got it right. All accounts, this was better than we saw yesterday, at least from that lack of wind part, and we still got to the 60s, but there is a cold front slicing through here this evening. Even though it's going to come through dry, it's going to have a big impact on the forecast going forward, especially as we head into Sunday. You're looking at the snowfall forecast as we end the weekend, and you can see that that contour creeps up into southern Michigan. Exactly how much snow we're expecting, that's still a big question, and we'll talk about that coming up. But you can see it's the big impact on our forecast here in the next 4 days. Things start to quiet down next week into Thanksgiving. We'll take a longer look at that. But of course, snow will be the headline for Sunday, and we'll see just how much we can expect in a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ben. Well, tonight the local 4 defenders are uncovering brand new evidence in the alleged plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer.
Training video, guns, maps, and hours of audio recordings. And Defender Sean Lay got his hands on all of it. He joins us now live with the government's case against the Wolverine Watchman. Sean?
And Kimberly, even how this entire case got going is fascinating. A group of men speaking with each other in Flint. We're talking about allegedly getting the addresses of police officers to go after them to possibly kill them. One man was there. He contacted the FBI. The FBI placed that man with the group Wolverine Watchman. The man started recording all kinds of conversations. We have some of those conversations tonight. But the new evidence raising new questions if the FBI had played a role in pushing these guys forward with the plot. The local 4 defenders with new, never-before-seen video, we're told, of Ty Garvin of Heartland showing off his weapons, including suppressors or silencers, and a locker packed with firearms. Another member, Adam Fox, showing off an 800,000-volt taser the feds say he allegedly wanted to use on the governor to stun her and kidnap her. The defenders also have these photos of Fox surveilling the area around the governor's home up north. A photo showing Fox hand-drawing a map of the area around the governor's summer home. Photos of the weapons the men had, some equipped with silencers and scopes. The silencers found to be registered and legal. With them the whole way, a member of the group placed there by the FBI, secretly recording the men for the FBI. Audio that is the foundation of the government's case. Now, for the first time, we want you to hear what some of those secret recordings sound like.
I had him do that for vehicles that they were coming in and we were first shooting.
Defense attorneys expected to argue that on many of these recordings, you can't clearly hear what the men are saying. Next, video of the men preparing for the alleged plot by training up north. But the FBI had another man we're learning about, a veteran working for the FBI. He also joined the group. That man, sources say, was skilled in tactical training and is a firearms expert. The FBI paid him to help the men train, to drive them to out-of-state meetings, even pay for their food. Some of the men charged are expected to argue that the man being paid by the FBI was the driving force of the group and the plot. The group also talked to each other in code on encrypted apps. Now, for the first time, you can see screenshots of many of those conversations, some commenting that someone should shoot Governor Whitmer. But so far, no specifics about a kidnapping plot or plans to violently storm the Capitol. Attorneys expected to argue this is all just talk and not illegal. And going forward, some of these defendants we just showed you may be arguing in court that this could be FBI entrapment. We will see where that goes. The next thing to look forward to here is December 16th. That is when the government expected to issue indictments in this case. We showed you a lot of evidence right there, but there may be more evidence from the government once they issue those indictments. We'll be watching for them, of course, for you. Back to you.
Right. And Sean, I know you have information on one of these defendants being called a mystery man in all of this. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you can call him a mystery man because we have 14 people charged. He's one of them, but he's not in the state. He's still being held in Delaware. There are questions tonight why he hasn't been brought back to Michigan. There are some people raising speculation he may be cooperating. However, we have learned tonight that he has been on the FBI's radar for quite some time. The FBI very concerned about him. We'll share why at 6 o'clock.
Okay, we'll look forward to your report, Sean. Thank you.
Well, that's busy enough, isn't it? We're off and running on this Friday. Let's check in with Paula.
If you've been in the Detroit metro area for any amount of time, Kim Adams has probably been in your living room or in your car through the radio. But she heard the words, "You're fired," yesterday in the middle of her shift. She explains what today is like.
And the battle over Nestle's deal to bottle Michigan water takes a major turn.
But first, he's the U of M professor who will lead the critical next step in the process to find a safe and effective coronavirus vaccine. Coming up, what he has to say about the speed with which the vaccines are being developed and the pressure his committee feels to get this right.